Welcome back to the channel. Hope that you guys are staying warmer than most of us are today. It's uh, it's negative weather, the real feel around my neck of the woods. We got about 5 inches of snow last night, howling wind, and like I said, it's below zero. So I'm braving it a little bit here and there because I like to get outside. You feel kind of invigorated when you go outside in that freaking like frigid cold weather and come back in. Feels kind of invigorating. Anyway, topic of today, they sold their soul to gain the world. Jesus famously said that what profit is it to a man if he gains the world but loses his soul? And that is exactly what the narcissist has chosen to do. So I'm going to start on a bigger level here, just real fast, because I've been doing research into this for what I'm working on. And I have for a long time. I talk a lot. I've researched a lot over the years and still continue to focus on what is basically the larger satanic cult that exists in the world. I call it the Order of the Eye, like at the top of the pyramid on the dollar bill, the Eye of Horus. It's the all-seeing eye of the devil, and how bound together that is with Freemasonry, international Freemasonry. But what you come to conclude is every single person who is anybody, and I mean anybody in this world, whether it's in business or finance or um, sports, entertainment, politics, it doesn't matter. If that person got there, so to speak, they're in the spotlight, they're in a high profile, then 99 point something percent of the time they have sold their souls. And you might think, well, because I guess I maybe at one point in time, I always took it seriously, but at one point in time, maybe thought like a lot of people do, well, it's not real. It's not real. Like, okay, packed with the devil. Okay, sold their souls. Okay, but that's like metaphor. That's not a literal thing that occurs. Yes, it is. It is a literal thing that occurs. And it happens in two ways. One is just a straight pact, just a straight blood oath. Like Bob Dylan said, he made a bargain. He made a bargain with it with the chief commander, which is a Masonic term for Lucifer. And a lot of people say it. I mean, I could literally list all day long. I just put together a list of people who have openly admitted that to doing it in the celebrity world. But when they say that, they meant they literally made a pact. They did some sort of oath, blood oath, initiation, something where they literally transferred their soul to the devil. Then there's another way, and that is by your consistent, steady, horrific, immoral behavior, evil decisions, wickedness, and basically you follow that path of darkness incrementally, little by little by little, until you basically have sold yourself out. You've sold your soul and given it over to the devil through your continued disobedience and wickedness. What happens at the same time, which it's not coincidental, is that God gives people over to a reprobate mind, which means reprobate basically means morally depraved, completely morally depraved to the point where you're gone, you're beyond help, you're beyond the grace of God. And I know some people will think, well, that's not possible. God will always forgive. He will. Actually, I would agree that he will. The problem is this: being morally depraved and reprobate means you've gotten to a point where you are incapable of repenting. You're gone. Hypothetically, you could get on your knees, cry out to God, repent, and he would forgive you, but you're not actually capable of doing it because of how far away you've gotten. So those are the two ways people sell their souls primarily. On a much, I guess, a less global scale, I would suggest that every narcissist, every true blue, absolute, authentic, depraved narcissist who is far enough down that spectrum where they are reprobate, they are given over, those people have sold their souls. And that's a lot of people today. A lot of people. Now, I don't think, now, even though it happens, I don't think most of the narcissists walking the earth today went and shed blood and did some sort of ceremony and literally devoted their lives over to the devil. Again, some have. I don't think most have. What they've done, though, as I said, is they gave their heart, their soul, their mind, their strength over to him gradually, bit by bit, piece by piece. And in the process of getting closer to the devil, they got farther away from Christ. Just as those who get closer to Christ get farther away from the devil, and those who get closer to Christ get farther away from the wickedness of the world. To be more like the Lord is to be less like the world, because Satan is the Lord of this world, and so to operate as the world does is to be closer to him. All of this coordinates and works together. So that's why everything really is sort of on this line of you go farther this way, you're getting closer to the devil. This way is closer to Christ. And there is not some in between. Nobody lives in neutrality. Nobody lives in this point right in the middle where they're not Satan's and they're not Christ's. Everybody is one or the other. Everybody is one or the other. So, and I'm getting a little bit off, but throughout all of history, including today, if you worship anything whatsoever that is not named Christ, Yahweh, the Lord, then you are worshiping the devil. I don't care if it's Greek gods, all the gods of paganism. I don't care if it's Egyptian gods. I don't care if it's yourself. Because the narcissist, at the end of the day, worships themselves, which is also a form of devil worship. Everybody's on some one of those two areas. And I know that I have a lot of people who watch this channel who may not necessarily know the Lord. And it doesn't mean you're bad people in a sense of the word. You're not. I'm sure you're kind. I'm sure you're more forgiving. You're not a narcissist, right? But you're not saved either. And at the end of the day, if you're not in the Lord's camp, you are in the devil's camp. And it won't matter if you weren't a narcissist at the end of the day if you don't know the Lord. So I'm not going to harp on that, but I want everyone watching this to understand that. If you watch my channel and you are a good person by normal standards, by societal understanding, and you're not a narcissist, you're still not saved. And you're still going to end up suffering the same fate as the narcissist. Believe that or not. And I say that because I care about everybody out there. Those who are not reprobate, who can repent, who can come to the Lord, you best be doing it. Please, please be doing it. Because like I said in many videos recently, we don't have the time you think we have. You cannot push that decision off for eons and eons. And also, you can't sit back and look at the narcissist, wicked as they are, and actually feel like you're in a way better place. Because in an everlasting sense, you're not. Not in an everlasting sense, but you're still capable of getting to that point. And that's what I want to urge you to do. The narcissist, though, doesn't live in neutrality, because no one does, and they don't live on the side of the Lord. They live on the side of the devil. This is what they chose to do. They decided, as Jesus so famously said, that they were going to gain the world and lose their soul in the process. In other words, they were going to live this life for me alone. I was going to do what I want, when I want, how I want, to whom I want, anytime I want. And that's how I'm going to live my life. I'm going to care about people when it's right for me. I'm going to not care about them when it's right for me. I'm going to do whatever I want to do to anybody in any situation. And I'm always going to think of myself in every single situation. And that means I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to operate out of entitlement. I'm going to get what I got coming to me, what I think I deserve, every step of the way. If I want to talk to somebody for months and just disappear, I'm going to do that. If I want to be married for a few years and then divorce them and screw up the family and destroy the kids, I'm going to do that. If I want to triangulate my spouse right in front of their face, I'm going to do that. If I want to cheat, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do whatever it is I want to do at the expense of anyone else, and I don't care. That's the way the narcissist chose to, that's the way they chose to play it. Because they do view this life as a game. And they do view themselves as the main character, and really, frankly, the only character that matters in the whole game. They will view their children as these little side characters, these sub characters that basically are just there for them. A parent is supposed to be there for their child. The narcissist thinks the child is there for them. Everything in their worldview is warped and flipped upside down. Everything. So they think that they can do anything they want in relationships, that they can just go from one person to the next, they can monkey branch, they can get on the dating apps, they can treat family, friends, loved ones any which way, and the game just goes on. Game just goes on forever. That's what they think. That is called trying to gain the world to lose their soul. They sacrificed, putting this another way, everything that could have been good and holy and pure in their lives, the great good they could have done for themselves, for their husband or wife, for their kids, for their family, brothers, sisters, friends, church, community. They sacrificed, and not that narcissists don't do good things, but they do it for all the wrong reasons. For instance, there are many narcissists. Jesus said that in the last days, many will come to him and say, Lord, Lord, did we not cast out demons and do all manner of miracles? And he will say, depart from me, I never knew you, you workers of iniquity, or you workers of lawlessness. There are many narcissists who think they're people of faith. They think that. And they do good things at times. There are even narcissists can be part of the church 40, 50 years. They go to all the events. They do all the things. And they're not saved. And they'll go and Jesus will say, depart from me. I never knew you, you workers of iniquity. And this is tied to what I was saying. The narcissist can do good things, but it's for naught. It's for them. The narcissist does good things for themselves, not for other people. And I don't care what they're really doing. I don't care if it's charity. I don't care what you think it looks like. They did it to impress other people. They did it to keep up their image. They didn't do it out of the goodness of their hearts or for the Lord or for just the pure, raw well-being of another. They don't do things that way. As one of my viewers said a while back, it's faux good. F-A-U-X. It's faux good that they do. And he was right, 100%. Hat tip. And glasses tip. It's the way they operate. So yeah, they can do good things, but it's for all the wrong reasons. They chose, though, in this world, every single line of manipulation. They chose to take a path. And they did this, guys. This gets kind of to how did a narcissist become a narcissist? They chose at a relatively young age to do the things that would benefit them. And there could be all manner of that. As young children, to scream and cry gave them what they wanted, or to blame things on their brothers and sisters gave them what they wanted, to lie to their parents. And they decided that these things were beneficial and it was serving them. And they knew they were wrong. At some point, especially, they knew they were wrong. But they also knew it was getting them what they wanted. And it was easier. It's harder to play it straight. It's harder to be honest, to be loving, to be caring, to be self-sacrificial. Narcissists don't want to do work. They don't want to work on anything. It's too strenuous. That's why they can't keep the love bomb up. That's why they can't keep the good behavior up for more than a few months. 3 to 6 months tops. It's too hard for them. It's out of character. They don't want to put effort in. So it was much simpler for them and much more beneficial in the short term. And that's how they think, short term, which is the whole point of this video, it's more beneficial for them to do what was right and was easy and was good for them in the moment, right there at the time. And they carry this out as they grow and they get older and they make decisions of a higher magnitude and a bigger and bigger and bigger. And I've said that all these little things accumulate and take them down this path. And the more evil decisions you make, the more your heart gets corrupted. And the more your heart gets corrupted, the more evil decisions that you make. It bounces off of each other. Just like faith and works bounce off of each other, so does this for the narcissist. So does this evil demeanor and the wicked deeds. And then as they got old enough, they made these big life altering decisions. The ones where they decided to destroy their marriage after they've been married for a few years, or to cheat on the person who loves them the most, or to be wicked to their parents in some really obvious way, or to unalive a child that they were going to have. Big cataclysmic decisions that propel them farther down that path. And like I said, it's important to understand the more a person does evil things, the more their heart becomes evil, and the more they do, and vice, it just bounces off. Boom, boom, boom. Just like the more good deeds that you do, the more that does improve your heart condition. And then your good heart condition produces good works, and it bounces off of each other. It's not one or the other. Because people talk about this. Well, yes, good deeds do flow from your heart condition, but good deeds also bolster your heart condition. Same way with evil and wickedness. That's why you can never divorce your actions from your heart condition. They work hand in hand. I mean, they're part and parcel, tied together. The narcissist chose the easy way out. They chose to not put in work, to not humble themselves, to not repent, to not reflect, to not do anything that was going to actually make them a better human being. Too hard, too much work. I'm lazy. I don't want to do that. And they just got worse and worse. And every single thing that they're doing, guys, is a short-term decision. It is choosing for this very, very small, finite period to do what they thought was in their best interest and what was easiest at the expense of everything else. They do this in 1,000 ways, but in the whole length of their life, this is their story. They will forsake everything that could be in eternity for this little tiny sliver of a time right now where they can satisfy what they want to satisfy. So for this, they'll forsake this. They do that in 1,001 ways. Think about when the narcissist comes upon the rare gem human being that is just wonderful person, just an absolutely splendid, stellar person that would have been so good for their lives. You might think they come across those people all the time. No, they don't. No, they don't. Do you? Do I? Have I? Do any of us? Show of hands for everybody out there who is currently single or divorced and or whatever, and they have not met somebody who was really like themselves, that they were physically attracted to, spiritually attracted to, that would have just been absolutely wonderful for their lives. Don't think the narcissist does this all the time. They don't. The narcissist doesn't have the options you think they have as far as good options. I did a whole video on that. I mean, this is one of my more popular videos. Go watch the one, the narcissist doesn't have the options you think they do. Very important. But when the narcissist does come across somebody who's spectacular, what do they choose to do? They blow it up. They will, instead of saying, you know what, this is really like, this is the time I should really get things right. This is the time I should really get things right in my life. I'm not going to find a better situation than this person. I'm not. I never have. I'm just not. And they do realize that. In their own way, they realize that. And I can tell you why. I know that because I've heard that twice from these people. And they know it. But what do they choose to do? Blow it up. Why do they choose to blow it up? Because for right now, even though this person's wonderful, even though in the long term, the long run, this would be so good for my life, it's too hard. It's too much work. I'll have to negotiate. I'll have to show reciprocity. I'll have to give this person as much power as I have. I'm not going to be able to lord power over them. I'm not going to just control them and just do anything that I want. I'll have to stop hanging out with people of the opposite sex. I'll have to start being more kind. They don't want to do that. Instead, what they'll do is they'll say, you know what? As wonderful as this person is, I'm gonna continue on. Yeah, I'm gonna continue on the way I was. I'm gonna deal with lower hanging fruit. I'm gonna deal with this person and that person. And I'm gonna go on to those people who won't hold me accountable. I'm gonna go on to folks who pine for me and let me do stupid stuff and manipulate them, and they keep chasing me, and who will let me hang out with people of the opposite sex and won't have a problem with it, because it's a big problem. You don't want your spouse hanging out with people of the opposite sex, especially one on one. If they want to do that, I'd say get rid of that person before you ever make them a spouse. Huge red flag. You don't want it. I'm just telling you right now. They want to do that stuff. They want options. They want attention. They want validation. And no, I'm not saying that men and women can't be friends and under all circumstances. I'm not saying that. But 99.9% of the time, it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea for a married man or woman or person in a relationship to have a close friendship with someone of the opposite sex whom they hang out with, talk, see. It's a bad situation most of the time. I'm telling you it is. So don't throw that thing out there where it can work sometime. Of course, everything can work sometimes. In general, horrible idea. Gotten off track. The narcissist decided it's easier, it's better to just not put in the work, to just forego this. I can deal with people who won't hold me accountable. I don't have to change anything about myself. I won't have to hold myself to a standard. I won't have to show reciprocity. I won't have to put work into this, because a relationship does take effort. They chose for this minimal time, this small time of a little satisfaction, a hit of dopamine, a new relationship, new warm and tinglies with him and him and him and her and her and her, and her, instead of what would have been ultimately so much better for their lives in every way. It's what they do. They chose in that instance to gain the world as they see it, to lose their soul. And that's a microcosm of the narcissist's entire life. They will do anything and everything for the now. They live in the now. They don't think down the road. They don't think about eternity. Not the way we would. So they decide as they went through their lives, guys, that they want the things of this world. They want the life of this world. They want the life the devil has to offer. They want to live as people of the world in the truest sense. And they don't want to be held accountable. And they don't want to repent. And they don't want to humble themselves. And they don't want to treat people fairly. And they don't want to be reciprocal with things. And they don't want to put time in and effort and work. And they don't want to change a thing about themselves. And that's the way they chose to live for this little sliver of time that we're here. And in doing so, and being selfish and self absorbed and entitled and greedy and cruel and vindictive and manipulative and critical and everything else that they are, they chose that that was more important, that was more fulfilling, and that was most importantly far easier than this, than planning for the future, than planning for eternity. And guys, this is sad. I have had people tell me early on in a situation, looks like I have to start getting my life together. And instead of that, because it's hard, even though it would have been 10 times better, 1,000 times better for them, they chose to continue the path they were on, not to get their lives together, not to do what they need to do for themselves and everybody else. Is it's just easier to continue on that hopeless, endless path. There are those who live with endless hope and those who have a hopeless end. The narcissist has a hopeless end. And they chose to forsake their souls in a very, very literal way through their actions, through their continuous disobedience, to forsake everything they could have had for eternity for what's really small and really little and right here and what pleases me and what's good for me, 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 me. That's the way they live their lives. That's who they are. So understand the price that the narcissist paid. And let me add one more thing here that is kind of the cherry on top of the sundae. Even though the narcissist thinks they're gaining the world, they're not. Not in a good way. Is the narcissist happy? Are they satisfied? Do they have joy? Do they have peace? Do they have stability? Or are they depressed? Are they anxious? Are they always ruminating, thinking, staying up late, doing this, that, and the other? Are they chaotic? Yes, they are. So the dirty little secret of all of this, which I have no doubt Jesus knew, is that gaining the world isn't what they think it is. And that's why many celebrities who have sold their souls and admit they can't get it back will tell you it ain't worth it. It was not worth it because it's not. Not only is it small and finite in nature, it's also still evil. It's also still unfulfilling and unsatisfying. The narcissist sacrificed everything good and still don't have good in this life right now. Yeah, maybe they got some money for a temporary period. Maybe they got this really attractive person for a temporary period. Maybe they got a good job for a little bit, but nothing lasts with them. Nothing works. And even when they have these things, they're not happy with them. The narcissist is cursed to always want more than what they have. Nothing is ever enough. The grass is always greener. The next thing is always the best thing. So even though the narcissist sacrificed their soul to gain the world, they lost eternity to gain the world. What did they really gain? So anyway, guys, hope you found this message interesting. Drop comments below. I will come at you with another one very soon, of course. And until then, stay warm and God bless.